welcome to Podcapers, the official podcast for Place to Hang Your Cape. And this week, we're talking about Captain Marvel! Cue the music! Hello there, Capers, and as I said, welcome to Podcapers, the official podcast for Place to Hang Your Cape. My name is Scott James Merridew, and this is the show where we talk about various geek and nerd-related topics, and I'm joined each week by a very special different guest. Our guest today returns. She's been on the show before, way back when. Glad to have her back. Give it up, Capers, for Dara Berkey!
Hi, everybody.
How you doing, Dara?
I'm good.
I'm glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. So, Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. Yeah, I think that's pretty.
It wasn't like,
Okay, let's get this out of the way, Capers. This is not a bad film. It's not. Nor is it an okay film.
It's not a bad film.
This is a good film. It's
a good film. Yeah.
Your time. The question I feel we need to pose here on Podcapers is it as good as... Does it hold up to the standard of quality we're used to from the MCU?
Yeah. That's the question, alright?
That is a question, and there's lots of more questions, like, is it as good as Wonder Woman? What does this mean for the future of female-led superhero movies? What's with all the online sexist trolls? And so many more... So I think we're going to talk about that, because the movie... Here's the thing. I believe that movies deserve to be discussed just as a movie. However, no movie exists in a vacuum, and when there's other stuff going on around the movie in our real life that impacts it in certain ways, like either in terms of the quality of the movie or the box office or whatever, that deserves to be just talked about. We talked about that before in Podcapers, so we're going to talk about it again. First, though, we're just going to talk about the movie as a movie, what we thought about it, what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it, and there's a lot to talk about in that regard. So I think we should just do that, don't you think, Dara?
I think so.
Absolutely. So we begin in the year 1995 on the Kree planet of Hala. Hala to you too, Krees. And we open up with Brie Larson. Oh my god, it's Carol Danvers. Wait, no, her name is Veers, spelt V-E-R-S, which A, is not how you say Veers. That made me think of more than one E. And two, that just made me think of the Star Wars character.
Yeah, that was a little strange. I don't know if that was supposed to be some sort of reference.
I mean, we find out why she's called that later. But here's the thing. Okay, so with any superhero movie, especially a superhero origin movie, especially with a character that hasn't been done before, you're going to have the hardcore fans who know the backstory of Captain Marvel, / Miss Marvel, / Binary, / Warbird, / whatever other name she's picked up over the years. And you're going to have the new audience who aren't going to know anything about the character.
Exactly.
And I'm sure this was a very interesting mystery for all the newcomers. Like, ooh, I thought her name was Captain Marvel, but she's called Veers. What's this mystery behind her backstory? But then you've got the legion of Marvel fans just like, well, now I guess we just have to wait for most of the movie for her to realise that she's in fact Carol Danvers, like we already know. I feel like there should have been a reasonable middle ground between these two ideas.
I think so too. Like, I mean, considering I read like a bunch of Captain Marvel comics, I was just like, this is interesting, but I already know that she's Carol Danvers. It's not a mystery. It's not that interesting for me. But for like everybody, like the casual moviegoer, it's interesting, I would assume.
And I mean, I'm given to understand that this is not quite faithful to the original Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers origin story. Like, here's the thing. Out of all the Marvel characters, Carol Danvers is probably the one I know the least about, out of all the main Marvel characters. I've seen her, like, a few times in, like, cartoons, like Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes. I've seen her, like, a couple of times interact with the X-Men or the Fantastic Four.
Right.
And also, I know more about Miss Marvel, the later Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, than I do... when is she going to be in the MCU? God damn it. But and so for me, I'm sort of trapped in this weird sort of middle ground where it's like I know a bit about the character, but I don't know that much about the character. So I'm open to a new idea, but at the same time, I feel like this is just I feel like I'm missing out on something. I don't know where to think.
Yeah, it's very strange the way that they kind of set up the story.
It is,
Like,
but
not
sorry.
to like push like the whole her becoming Captain Marvel. Like, I think it was more like set up to be like discovering who she is or something like that. But it didn't really click for me.
No, honestly, I honestly, because I mean, there's still, here's the thing, there's two mysteries going on here. Who she really is, and how she got her powers, exactly, the true nature of her, surrounding her powers. I feel like they could have just done away with the whole Veers thing, and just have her be, Carol Danvers, but she's on the Kree planet, and she's trained to be part of the Kree, and, like, she doesn't know the full circumstances of how she got her powers, and the mystery surrounding that, but she still knows who she is.
Yeah, they should have probably did something more along those lines.
Possibly. But it's okay, though, because you know who's in this movie? Young Dumbledore!
Yes, young, young Dumbledore, Jude Law.
Sexy, sexy
Oh
young
boy.
Dumbledore. And he plays Yon Rog, a character who I'm given to understand is in the comics, but I know nothing about, who is sort of like her mentor slash trainer slash commander. And they got a pretty close bond, and they, like, spar together. And he's trying to teach her, like, your powers are very useful, but you need to learn to not rely on them, and you need to keep your emotions in check, because god damn it, you're a female superhero, and therefore we have to constantly talk about your emotions.
Right.
Did we not already
Yeah.
go over this with fucking Sue Storm in the Tim Story Fantastic Four? Just like,
Yeah.
okay, there are so many other, like, so this movie has a feminist message and a feminist agenda, and it's weird because there's a feminist message in this movie that works really well, and a feminist message that doesn't work really well, and this is the latter. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, a lot of superheroes' powers can be tied into their emotions, but you know what? When you talk about a female character, sometimes it gets a little bit old. Frankly, there's only really one Marvel character I think that you should really talk about their emotional state a lot in relation to their powers, and that's the fucking Hulk.
I agree.
Because it doesn't really add anything here. I mean, she's kind of like, yeah, she's brassy and a little bit arrogant and in your face and stuff, but they constantly bring up her emotions, and it's just like, okay, can we not just focus on her emotional journey rather than talk about her emotions, like, in relation to her powers? Like, she seems to have a pretty good grasp on them, and it's just like the fact that she sometimes gets a little bit angry, and guess what? You know what? We kind of like that in our characters. So maybe stop bringing it up like it's a hindrance.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it's more along the lines that there's like this kind of like feeling in society where women have to not get angry, and they're seen as like bitchy if they get angry about anything.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of weird.
But it's also such a double standard, because if they're not in your face and not quote unquote bitchy, then they're meek and, not wanting to intrude or anything.
Yep.
And it's just like you can't win. It's
No, you can't win.
It's ridiculous. That's a great advice for you, young woman listening to the show. Remember, you can't win. Anyway, I'm already emotionally raw watching this movie, like, from the very beginning, where instead of the usual Marvel intro, the Marvel logo thing, they have just, like, pictures of Stan Lee, and the message, thank you, Stan. I was just like, oh god, you hit me right where it hurts. Oh!
Yeah. I teared up when I saw that. I was like, why would they do that to me? First thing, man.
Literally the first thing. I mean, it's a very touching tribute, but it's just like, oh god, now I'm emotional. But anyway, she.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, the relationship with Carol. I'm just gonna call her Carol. I'm not gonna call her Veers. Because with her and Yon Rog, it's actually pretty cool because Brie Larson and Jude Law have quite a bit of chemistry. They've got a nice back and forth, and she kind of teases him, and he's trying to be like all stoic, but he still like really cares about her. But here's the thing. They've got such a good connection, but they spend most of the movie apart.
Yeah, they do.
It's insane,
That's true.
and we know the movie is about Carol going to Earth and trying to hunt down these Skrull people here. Do you know what it could have been? This could have been like a superhero training day where she spent time with them and they hunt them down together. But the more she learns about the Skrulls, the more she interacts with him in combat, like in that sort of scenario, the more the gulf between them widens, and the more she realizes that their ways of thinking and their ways of doing things are different. But we don't get that. She's just separated from him, and then she latches on to another partner person who we'll talk about later.
That's right. I
Yes.
agree.
I'm so glad.
Been a little bit more like yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying, considering the fact that they have such a connection, and we've learned so much more about how they met later on. It just feels like a missed
Mhm.
opportunity. But so anyway, he takes her to the Kree Supreme Intelligence, who's basically a big giant AI who acts as the ruler of the Kree, who takes the form of whoever they admire the most. And in this, when she meets the Supreme Intelligence, it takes the form of this person who she doesn't recognize. And she's like, okay, so I have like flashbacks of you, like
Right.
nightmares about you and dreams of you, but I don't know who you are. But apparently you're the person I most admire. And she's like, well, if you don't remember this person, how can you admire them? Like, wouldn't that be more thematic if
Yeah.
at first it seems to be Yon Rog, but then later when she meets the Supreme Intelligence for a second time, it takes the form of this other person, played by Annette Bening, or however you pronounce her name?
Yeah. Yeah. That would have been better.
Yeah, okay. So I feel bad because like it's not great criticism to say, oh, here's how they could have done it, but at the same time, the movie is sort of chock full
Right.
of these moments, and we should judge the movie for how it is and not how we want it to be. But at the same time, like, come on! I know it's hindsight, but come on! But the Supreme Intelligence basically
Yeah.
says, hey, those emotions, keep them in check. And then they go on a mission along with Gemma Chan and Jimon Honsu, who makes a return, as is a prequel sort of thing, from Guardians of the Galaxy,
Mhm.
to find the Kree. No, 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 not the Kree. The Skrulls. They're the Kree. They're the Kree. Oh yeah, here's the thing. So in the comics, there's a whole thing about how the Kree have different skin tones and stuff, but they never really go into it in the movie. I thought it could be used like some of them blue and some of them just look human, and it's just like, do you maybe want to explain why that happens? I mean, I know it's probably just like an evolutionary thing, but at the same time, you know, I don't know.
Right.
Maybe it's just the nerd
Yeah,
in me
I
wanted
thought
to
it was
nitpick.
strange.
I don't know either. But so it turns out that the Kree are in a war against the Skrulls, these evil alien shapeshifters, who try to reject the Kree and have been fighting them, and they're terrorists. Ooh, how nasty! And of course, we know the Skrull from the comics. We know that generally speaking, they're bad guys, and the Kree are just as bad.
Mhm.
But so they go to find this Kree spy who's supposedly been captured or was about to be captured by the Skrulls, and so they find these alien people who think they're refugees and say, "Oi, we're looking for this guy. You see them? Ruh-roh, they're Skrulls! Oh dear, everyone's a fucking Skrull. It's the Cylons all over again." And they have a big old fight with them, and Carol is captured by the Skrulls and taken to their ship, and she meets the Skrull commander, Talos, formerly known as Tiber
Yeah.
Septim. And and then we get, the memory machine, which is basically them flashing back to her hidden memories about how. It's as exposition devices go, it's not bad, but at the same time, it's just like
No.
maybe we could find out about this whole backstory thing a bit more organically. Because I mean,
Right.
we're not even 10 minutes into the movie, 15 minutes in, and already we're pretty much getting the thing like, oh, she's got a secret, hidden, mysterious past, and it's like, okay, we get it. I don't know. I'm just getting like Wolverine flashbacks. It was all done much better in X-Men.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was. I think that they probably should have did the exposition a different way. Especially since we got like give the whole flashbacks and then cuts to Yanrog and Carol sparring and then like shortly after that, we get another flashbacks. I think it was just too much flashbacks.
Oh my god, it's like all those weird magical exposition devices from that movie Pan. Fucking Pan!
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman connects it all, goddamn. But she managed to escape. And it's a pretty cool scene with her fighting her way out of the Skrull ship using her powers and stuff. And first of all, I want to say right away, Talos is played by Ben Mendelsohn. Is that his name? Ben Mendelsohn, who in recent years has been playing like a laundry list of kind of shitty villains. So as soon as I saw him, I was kind of worried, like, ooh, he's a villain in this one as well. I remember the last space movie you were in where you were a villain, and that wasn't that great, so I'm not sure about this. But he's actually pretty good in this, despite, the pounds of makeup on him. He's pretty good, and he's kind of jeering and kind of taunting of Carol. It's kind of fun. So they fight each other, and she fights away, gets into escape pod.
I agree.
Yep, several escape pods jettison to another planet, which is dun 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 Earth. And so Earth, that third planet.
Circa 1995.
Circa 1995. It's the 90s, and so there's a bunch of Skrulls on Earth. Oh god, and she's got to hunt them down. And she immediately crashes into a blockbuster. And you know what the great thing about this movie is? The movie doesn't explicitly tell you, as far as I can remember, that it's 1995. But you see a Blockbuster store that's open, you know it's the 90s, or it's not present day.
Yeah, you definitely know. Especially when there's a Radio Shack nearby, too.
Well, see, that's the thing. See, we don't have Radio Shacks in the UK, so I don't know if those are still around.
No, they're not. They went bankrupt a few years ago. So I guess it's more of an American thing.
Yeah, but Blockbuster, that's a universal thing. You see Blockbuster, you think, it was a simpler time. It was a better time. And so she immediately goes up to this security guy who sees her crash into said Blockbuster. And it's like, hey, she's like, hey, do you know where I can get communication devices? He points to the Radio Shack. It's like, cool, thanks. He offers no follow-up questions, no attempting to restrain her and her having to use her powers on him, nothing. He's basically just sitting there like a more useless version of Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Yeah, I don't think he knew what to do. Like, he was just kind of like, who is this lady in this weird outfit? What is going on?
Is there like a Star Trek convention in town? What's going on? I'm not paid enough for this.
Don't want to have to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. And so she takes parts from Radio Shack, hooks them up to a payphone, and is somehow able to contact the Kree ship who's like a day away from planet Earth. To which I call bullshit. I don't care what magical sci-fi MacGuffin shit you can do in this movie. I call bullshit on that.
Yeah. Like, the payphone, I don't know, like, phone companies like AT&T. So I don't know that they had that much of a stretch for the satellite. So that was a little bit of bullshit, yeah.
Just a little. I mean, she has like technology woven into her suit. She couldn't like hook that up to the payphone or anything. But no, she just like takes parts from Radio Shack.
Yeah.
I guess people can do that in the 90s. Contact aliens with a fucking... I mean, if fucking, like, Elliot from E.T. can do that in the goddamn 1980s, I suppose she can do that in the goddamn 1990s.
I guess.
But anyway...
I guess. I mean, I guess that's, like, another skill of... Yeah.
She's so multi-talented. But anyway, this and the fact that the Skrulls have now attracted the attention of S.H.I.E.L.D., including OMG, it's Phil Coulson! Ah!
Phil Coulson and Nick Fury.
Phil Coulson and Nick Fury, and not only that, de-aged Phil Coulson and Nick Fury.
Yep.
I mean, we've seen the de-aging technology before. We've seen it done multiple times on multiple different people, but it works really well here. It works pretty good on Phil Coulson. Young Clark Gregg is handsome AF. Mind you, old Clark Gregg is handsome AF. But Nick Fury, I mean, here's the thing. If you told me that there was no de-aging technology used on Samuel L. Jackson, I would just assume that it's seamless. I believe you because you it looks just like young Samuel L. Jackson. Just like him, like they plopped him from the set of Jurassic Park and put him into this movie.
Yeah, no, they did a really good job with the de-aging, especially since Sam Jackson is in his 70s now.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, he doesn't look that old because he is,
Oh,
immortal because he's a Jedi. But
yeah.
it looks fucking amazing, and he's with us for the rest of the movie. It's probably the longest screen time Nick Fury has gotten in the MCU in any one single movie. So it's really fucking well done. I would love to see like ordinary unedited stills or scenes from the movie without the de-aging technology, just for point of reference.
Right. Yeah, that would be fun.
And so they're investigating, and they just walk up to her, all casual, like saying, "Hey, what's going on here? Oh, I'm part of the Kree Star Force. I'm just here to find Skrulls, these shapeshifting aliens. Oh, cool." And I'm thinking, like, okay, all right, fine, this is funny and all, but is there no protocol for first contact with the Kree Empire? Like, they're aware of the planet Earth. They know that they haven't really had any experience with aliens so far, at least to any significant degree. So, is there not like a first I don't know, like the Prime Directive from Star Trek or anything? Is there nothing like that? She just talks to him very blandly about the whole thing.
Maybe there's not a prime directive for them. Maybe they just get to the point. I think that's what it was. I think they didn't want to like make it extra complicated if with with the kind of first contact thing.
Yeah. But in any case, Nicholas Fury does not believe her and he tries to arrest her, but there's a Skrull attack. The Skrulls are shooting at them. So Danvers takes off after the Skrull. Nick Fury and Phil Coulson, take off after her, but it turns out
Right.
that there's a Skrull impersonating Coulson. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god, they could be anyone. Because not only can they take on their appearance, they can also take on recent memories of whoever they're shapeshifting as, which is a really useful device for them, obviously. And so then we get Coulson, Carol, god damn it, going onto a train with a Skrull and trying to find her, getting in a fight with an old lady who's actually a Skrull, and quite possibly the best Stan Lee cameo to date. He's reading a script for Mallrats.
Yeah, that was really good. I'm really glad that he did the I think he's going to be through Spider-Man, so we'll get to see him a couple more times.
I'm hoping we get to see him up to Infinity War. I know we're not. I'm just hoping that after we got all the cameos that they got out of him before his tragic passing, that they don't like digitally put him into any of the things, like maybe a picture or something in the background somewhere.
Yeah.
But don't do a Tarquin from Rogue One and put him in the movie, because no, that's not okay, not anymore. Like they had to do that a bit. Well, they didn't have to do it, but they sort of had to do it a bit for Rogue One because an important character. But we don't need a Stan Lee cameo to that degree anymore now. So just let it lie. I hope they don't do that. But
yeah, I hope they don't do that.
But not only is a great cameo though, it's followed up by a great scene because it's Captain Marvel beating up this old lady who's a Skrull who's also trying to beat up Carol Danvers, and yet the passengers of the plane are just like, "Hey, stop beating up the old lady!" Oh, damn, the old lady's actually holding her own. What's going on here? And it's a lot of fun. And
yeah.
Then I think does she catch the Skrull? She doesn't catch the Skrull. No, she doesn't.
She doesn't catch a Skrull.
No. And so it gets away. Carol's like, oh damn, what have we got? Oh yeah, because it's great though. It's actually a pretty good scene because she goes into like a train station and she tries to find the scroll, but there's so many people around. Just like, well, yeah, I'm giving this up as a bad job. And then we cut to Nick Fury and his boss. What's his boss's name? Keller. Keller is his boss's name. Also played by Ben Mendelsohn. So if you didn't know Ben Mendelsohn was supposed to play in the Skrull, you wouldn't quite guess who he actually was. But it's revealed pretty quickly. So, because he's like, oh my god, there's a Skrull, actual alien autopsy. Strange days, Nick. Okay, so here's what are you doing? Get after that Carol Danvers person. No, that Captain Marvel, that Veers person, whatever her name is. And find out what she's all about. And then once Nick Fury is gone, he's just like, I'm really sorry, Skrull mate of mine. You'll be avenged, by Granthar's hammer. Anyway, and
yeah,
and so what happens then? Oh yeah, so then Veers tries to find goes on like an internet cafe. Funny. Finds a big map. Funny. And he's trying to find out, who she really is and the backstory from this planet, and try and find out about this this Lawson person, this Dr. Lawson person, who she believes is the older woman who the Supreme Intelligence took the form of from her nightmares and her dreams. And so then we get this motorcycle guy who's just like, hey, why don't you give me a smile, lady? And she's like, ugh, no, but I'm going to steal your bike. Ha! And she goes to a bar from her dreams that she appears to in her other life hung out at. And who's there waiting for her but Nick Fury? And they have a big chat discussing like, okay, are you a Skrull? No, I'm not, and I can prove it and here's how I think we find out the most about Nick Fury in this movie, just because we've heard like snippets of his life before in previous movies, but we learn a lot about him in this movie.
We do.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool to get an insight of him because, as I say, he's spending a lot of time with him, and he agrees to help her go to this Air Force base and use his SHIELD security clearance to figure out what's going on so they can stop the Skrulls. And from this point on, the movie is a buddy movie, basically. It's a buddy movie between her and Nick Fury.
Yeah, it is a buddy. It's like a buddy cop movie almost.
But that's the thing. That's part of the problem. Because it's a little bit Training Day, as we said. It's a little bit, I need to find out about my mysterious past. It's a little bit of an origin story. It's a little bit of a buddy cop movie. It's a little bit of lots of different things. And none of them really work well together.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I like buddy cop movies by themselves. So I would have been okay with that being the entire movie. But with all the added stuff, it just doesn't because it's different genres.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of the Marvel movies now have realized we can't just be superhero movies. We need to have something else. So Ant-Man, that's a heist movie. Or a caper movie. Spider-Man Homecoming was a coming-of-age story. Guardians of the Galaxy is, it's like Space Firefly, which is also Firefly. But anyway, and so there's lots of other different things going on. And so this movie sort of gets that, but doesn't pick one single thing and just run with it. And so we're left with lots of these disparate elements that just don't quite gel. And all of them could work well on their own. But it just doesn't. It's annoying because I would say the reason why we said at the beginning that this movie wasn't bad is because all the elements in it are good. It's just that they don't work. It's like combining the finest beef filet mignon with custard. Like, I love custard, I love filet mignon, but they don't quite go together.
Go together.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's pretty annoying. And so they go to the Air Force Base, and the people that they meet there are not quite happy to see them, especially when they start floating Dr. Lawson's name around. And so they take her to the room. It's just like, hey, wait here for a second. Uh-oh, we're locked in. But then Nicholas Fury MacGyvers his way out with some sellotape, only to find out later that she's got laser blast powers from her hands. It's just like, You couldn't have used that earlier? And this is why it's so annoying, because, again, the chemistry between Brie Larson
But
and...
he already knew that.
Sorry?
I said he already knew that she had the laser powers from the bar scene.
Oh, yeah, she did. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So why didn't he ask her, like, oh, God. Oh, dear. But going back to what I was saying, it was, it's annoying because the chemistry between Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson is also really great. They also really play well off each other. There's so many good aspects of this movie, but
They do.
It's oh god. So they have to fight their way out of the base, and they take it off in a Quinjet, which we never actually. I don't think they actually say it's a Quinjet, but like we look at it and it's like, okay, it's a Quinjet. Uh-oh, they've got a story, though. It's Dr. Lawson's cat, Goose. Oh, no.
Goose.
I mean, that's got to be a reference to Top Gun, right?
It has to be. I think they put a lot of Top Gun references in this.
Yeah. And so the next stop is to find out more about Carol's past. So they go to New Orleans to meet Monica Rambeau. Oh, wait, no, it's Maria Rambeau.
Yeah.
And I got a bit excited when I first saw this character in the flashbacks and saw, like, her name on the side of the plane. Like, they have the names. Like, it was Maria Photon Rambeau, because I'm familiar with the Photon character from the Avengers. Just like, oh, are we going to see, like, Photon in the future? Oh, wait, that's Maria Rambeau. Does she have a daughter named Monica? Yes, she does. Uh-oh. Are we going to see her in Infinity War? I hope so.
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. And so they go to... so they meet up with Rambeau, and this is a person... So Rambeau sees her friend, you know, her best friends, who her daughter called her aunt, who she hasn't seen for 6 years, who she thought was presumed dead, and the relationship is, like, huge. And they meet up again, she's like, huh, you're back. That's weird. I'm thinking, like, okay, I think this at least deserves, like, a shaky hug or something. Like, come on. Something. Give us something. And it's very, very passive. And very, very... like, the kid is way more excited to see her than her mum. Come on. Show some goddamn emotion. I know we were talking about emotion early in the movie, but this is the time to show some emotion. Come on.
And,
it's...
After Maria mourned her best friend and everything. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really annoying. And this is the point in the movie where a lot of the good stuff, and there is a lot of good stuff, really starts to lose steam.
Yeah, a little bit.
The whole movie seems to just, like, start... I don't know. This is the point in the movie where just, like, I really started to lose me. I was in it. I was utterly and utterly enthralled up until this point. And this is where my interest slowly started to wane. Which is annoying because this is followed up by a really interesting plot point where Talos, you know, the Skrull, comes back and it's like, hey, so I'm here, but I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to talk. Oh, okay, all right, keep going. And it turns out the Skrulls are the good guys. And the Kree have been, you know, wiping them out systematically. And they are not fighting against the Kree. They're just trying to get this this lightspeed technology that the Dr. Lawson was working on in order to get away from the Kree and start their own home somewhere far away from them. Oh, okay. Kind of contradicts everything we know about the Skrulls from the comics, but okay, it's a different story. It's a new interpretation. That's fine. And, okay. Did you see this coming?
I didn't. I really, when they said that it was like the Skrulls in it, I really thought they were gonna like lay the foundation for like Secret Wars where the Skrulls like infiltrate like Earth and everything.
So
but
do you mean
they went with the Skrulls being rescued.
Sorry, that's Secret Invasion. There's
Yeah,
so
Secret
many
Invasion.
different secret storylines in Marvel. Dear God.
Yeah, they are. But yeah, I actually didn't see that coming. I was just like, oh, okay. Well, let's go with it. They're refugees now. All right.
And yeah, and not only that, it turns out Dr. Lawson was actually a Kree named Marvel who was helping them. So Marvel in this continuity is not a guy Marvel, it's a lady Marvel.
Yes, and I really like that part.
I mean,
I like that part. I
I
thought
mean,
that was nice.
I knew that Marvel, the original Captain Marvel, was a man, but that's all I knew about him, so it wasn't really a big deal for me. It was just
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. And but here's the thing, here's the annoying thing. We only learn about Dr. Lawson through flashbacks, very brief flashbacks, and the fact that the Supreme Intelligence like mimics her form. And it's and this is supposed to be the person that Carol Danvers most admires in the world, and yet we barely know anything about them, their interactions. Like we get one scene, one flashback scene where they interact, and she's like, "Hey, my cat likes you. We're gonna fly really fast." Boop de doop de doo, and that's about it. That's all we get. It's like she's barely in the movie, and this is a huge part of the origin story.
Yeah, she's barely in the movie. I think since they use flashbacks so much, but they use them like in they didn't do like full flashbacks. They did like piece by piece flashbacks. So I think if maybe we had like a little bit longer flashback where when Carol actually met Lawson for the first time and like like a play by play of how their like relationship like built between being a mentor and like a friend and everything. I think it would have been a little bit better.
Yeah, and then we get another flashback because Talos just so happens to have a recovered black box from the plane that Danvers and Lawson were in that crashed. Uh-oh. And Danvers immediately gets gets her memories back. It turns out that she thought for the longest time that a Skrull was responsible for destroying the plane and making her the way she is. Turns out it was dun 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 Yon-Rogg! Oh no! And he killed Lawson / Marvel and was about to kill her before she took Marvel's energy pistol, whatever, shot the light speed engine thing that Yon-Rogg was after, and it exploded and gave her her powers in a pretty cool scene, actually. It's pretty cool when the energy like goes into her. But then she's unconscious and he like takes her back to the Kree and she's like, okay, you know what? We're gonna use her now. And it's like, okay, fine. And by this point, like, I didn't see the Kree turning out to be good guys, but I did see this happening.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that happening too.
It is kind of obvious from day one. The minute we found out that she's got a close relationship with Yon-Rogg, and the minute we found out she had amnesia, it's like, oh, he's going to be the twist villain. He's going to be the one who's responsible for everything. And it's going to be such a massive betrayal. And yeah, it kind of is. And so it doesn't have the full impact that it really should have. But then Talos says, okay, so you know what? We've got this. We can take the Quinjet or whatever up into space to Marvel's secret lab in space that we can find the core for the that's the actual component of the lightspeed thing to, you know, get all the refugee Skrulls out of here. I was like, that's great. Hey, Maria Rambeau, do you want to join us? She's like, no. And it was like, oh, but Mum, you've got to go into space. The alternative is watching Will Smith on TV with me, so you got to do it. And I'm just thinking, like, they're sitting here thinking, no, small child. She does not have to go into space. You know why? Because she found about this whole thing like an hour ago, and also, it's incredibly dangerous. If I was the parent of that child, and I got the opportunity to go into space, I'd be tempted, sure, but I wouldn't do it, because I have a child waiting at home for me, and it's like a fucking dangerous, and I didn't sign up for this, and it's just like, I've got responsibilities. Sorry, Carol, but I'm afraid you're gonna have to do this on your own. It's not like you really need me.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, great. You went into space. You abandoned your child and could possibly die, but you went into space. That's great. And I genuinely thought that that's what was going to happen. I thought that Rambo was going to die in space, and that would be like the secret origin story for her daughter and Photon. But no, she lives, and it's like, oh, so now I'm disappointed twice over. Great, because that would be meaningful. Just like, oh no, my mum died. I thought you were going to protect my mum. I'm sorry, I couldn't protect your mum. She's my best friend. Nah, angst. I don't know, something. Jeez, but they go to the spaceship orbiting Earth, the spaceship, whatever. And it turns out several Skrulls are hiding there, including Talos' wife and child. It's like, aww, family reunion. And it turns out the energy core, that's the component of the Lightspeed engine, is actually, dung, 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 the Tesseract!
Yeah, I know. I was like, it's the Tesseract, it's Infinity Stone. But we knew the Kree were after the Infinity Stones for a long time. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, because this is the problem, because we already had a lot of dealings with the Kree in Guardians of the Galaxy, and so we kind of, I don't know, it's like we're playing catch up. This is the problem. We're constantly playing catch up, and it's like it's basically references. Oh, check out this cool reference. Oh, check out this cool reference to a thing that's going to happen later, and it's like cool, but it's the worst kind of dramatic irony, because we already know about this sort of stuff, and so you're not really offering anything new. You're just offering up stuff that... It's because the Marvel movie is full of all of these connections and MacGuffins and little things that connect one character or one time place or one location to another story, and it's really, really cool to have this fully developed, connected world. And I'm glad they have these connections here, but at the same time, would it have been much better if we had connections to things that made sense retroactively? Like, oh, there's that thing. Wait a minute, didn't we see that in another movie that we didn't, like, in the background, that we didn't know anything about? Oh my god, that adds another layer of meaning. Instead, we're getting all these things that are already established.
Right. And I think that was, like, my main problem, that I thought maybe Captain Marvel should have came out earlier than it did.
Absolutely. I mean, this, I don't know, because like then we could have had like the ending of Infinity War with Nick Fury and the pager thing, which actually I tell you what, that is a pretty good backstory of the pager thing. We want to dive out and talk about that for a second. Nicholas Fury, when they're in the Air Force Base, pages like back up from S.H.I.E.L.D., but it gets intercepted by Talos and the Skrulls, and so because of that, Carol is just like, okay, I'm taking this pager, okay, until you can learn to use it responsibly, and it's funny. And later on in the movie, she modifies it like, if there's any sort of problems, call me on the pager. And that explains the pager, which we knew nothing about. And that's a good example of a MacGuffin that adds a layer of meaning that we didn't already know about. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's the other stuff that doesn't really work so well. But we could have had this movie before Infinity War, and then we'd have seen the pager again. And there's like, oh, it's the pager. Ooh. So it would have worked either way, but in terms of the pager. But in terms of the movie as a whole, it would have worked better to take place before then.
Yeah.
As you say. And it's I mean, yeah, as I say. And so then it turns out that the Skrull, no, not Skrulls, the Star Force, rather, the Kree, board the ship, and they capture Danvers, and all the Skrulls and stuff, and they bring her before the Supreme Intelligence, and it turns out there's this controlled ship at the side of Captain Marvel's neck, which barely gets brought up. It's like we see in the beginning, we see it now, and it's like that's something that's supposed to be like limiting her powers, and just like, if you don't do what we say, we're going to take away your powers. And I feel like that could have been brought up, like Nick Fury could have noticed that on her neck or something. It's like, hey, what's that? And she's like, it's nothing, it's supposed to help me with my powers or something. But then we barely see it, and in fact I don't remember seeing it outside of her interactions with the Supreme Intelligence. So my question is it actually there, or is it like a manifestation of a psychic block or something that she's got on her powers? So what the fuck is it? It's the weirdest little thing.
Right. I didn't actually think, I didn't think it was actually like a real thing. I thought it was like in her mind, like they put some sort of like, because they were messing with her memories anyway. Completely, it's like some sort of block that she needed to overcome. That's the way I viewed it when I saw it. But if there was actually something on her neck, it should have been like addressed.
Yeah, it's at this point it feels like they were kind of rushing towards the end of the movie. Like, let's just get this over with. That's the sort of impression I got, and it's really fucking annoying. But anyway, during the interaction with the Supreme Intelligence, she's just like, you know what, fuck you and the Kree, and I'm gonna just like go full Super Saiyan now, and she gets full access to her abilities, and is a complete and utter total badass now. And she fights with the Kree, all of her old companions and stuff, and they pick what I view as possibly the worst song to do that to. That Just a Girl song. I don't remember whose that's from.
That's no doubt when Gwen Stefani had a band back in the 90s.
Ah, okay, all right. And not only does it not really fit with the pace of the fight scene, but also it feels like they're trying to send the.
No, it didn't.
Sorry?
I said it didn't fit with the fight scene at all. It was the pacing was weird.
It's very weird. And it's just like the message, like, oh, it's like ironic because it's just a girl, but just like she's a real tough badass and stuff, which is the whole point of the song. At the same time, it's way fucking too obvious. And the worst part is that is preceded by this her fighting against the Supreme Intelligence. And it flashes back to points in her life that we've seen throughout the movie, which is like a little kid and like adults are just like, you're way too reckless and aggressive and stuff like that. And she keeps getting knocked down. And then her training with the Air Force and her getting condescended to by all the sexist douchebags. And then, which I get that the No Doubt song. That's a terrible way to send your feminist message. But seeing her interactions with all these assholes throughout her life, I think is a great feminist message because that's exactly the kind of thing that does happen in real life. And I'm sure many people can empathize with and many people can relate to.
Right.
And then we get the scene with her getting full control of her powers and fighting against the Supreme Intelligence. And it flashes back to her getting knocked down all those times as a kid and growing up and being an adult. But then we see her getting back up. And they never say, yeah, I got knocked down, but I got back up again. You're never going to keep me down. I get knocked down, but you never get up again. You're never going to keep me down. We'll be singing when we're winning. They never say that, but they just show her getting up again. And it's such a cool, powerful, badass moment that tells you all you need to know about this character. And her tenacity and her resolve and her power, and it's fucking awesome. And then it's followed by that song. It's like
they should have picked a different song. It should have been a different song. I don't know what song, but shouldn't have been that song.
Oh guys, it's fucking annoying because it's clear that they know what they're doing, and yet it's followed by something that shows that they don't know what they're doing. It's really, really annoying and totally jarring, but it is a good fight. And Skrulls fight back against the Kree as well, and Nick Fury fights back to the Kree. And here's another annoying thing. So the Kree, when they find Goose the cat, they're like, "Oh god, it's this weird creature. Keep it contained because it's really fucking dangerous." And Nick Fury is like, "It's just a cat." And I'm sitting thinking, well, it's going to turn out to be a giant fucking monster, isn't it? It's obviously going to be a giant fucking monster. The only way this would be at all interesting if it turned out to be just a cat. But no, it turns out to be a giant fucking monster that eats the Tesseract and destroys, like, Kree soldiers. It's just like, yeah. Fucking course it is.
Yeah. Of course.
And you know what would be cool? Do you know what would be cool? If we found out right away. Oh, it's Dr. Lawson's cat, Goose. Oh, wait a minute, is that some character like, wait a minute, I think I read reports about this sort of thing. It's a weird alien creature. Nick Fury's like, no, it's not. It's just like, oh, really? What? And then immediately we show the cat for the monster it truly is. And it's like, oh, wow, okay. And just get it out of the way. Get it over and done with. But so they get this running joke that's pointless and we can totally see the punchline.
Right. Yeah.
It's really fucking annoying. It's funny, but it's annoying. And
Yeah.
then the Kree reinforcements showed up, led by Ronan the Accuser, played by returning Lee Pace. Okay, that's a pretty good cameo for him to be in this movie. A nice little connection. And Captain Marvel just completely destroys all the missiles in a really cool scene. And she's like, okay, do you want to come at me? Do you want to come at me? And Ronan the Accuser's like, no, I don't want to come at you. I want to leave. But maybe we'll come back. Who knows? And so he hoofs it, and Yon-Rogg comes to Earth, and they have a big standoff. And he's got his weapons, she's got her powers, and then it seems like they're going to fight, and he puts his gun away, and she's like, I'm so proud of you. And it's like, okay, that was pretty cool. That was a pretty good moment. It's immediately, though, followed by him saying, okay, you know what? If we're going to fight, let's fight. No powers, no weapons, just you and me fighting. 1-on-1 laser blast. And he's down. And it's just like, yeah, movie. We have seen fucking Raiders of the Lost Ark. We know what's going to happen.
It was clear that they were going to actually have like a fist fight, and
it's
like they really underutilized Jude Law's character a lot in this movie. I think
she's got two role models in this movie, Marvel and Yon-Rogg, and both of them are barely in the movie.
Right.
It's fucking infuriating. Although that is followed up by a pretty good line, like her standing over Yon-Rogg and saying, I've got nothing to prove to you. And that was cool.
Yeah. That was cool, yeah.
That was really cool. And so she sends him back to the Kree, empty-handed. It's just like, you know what? The Skrulls, they're protected. Don't come after me. Don't be a bitch. And sends her off. And Danvers gives Nick Fury back his pager saying, I've modified it. If there's an emergency, give me a bell. And then she zooms off to protect with the Skrulls to help protect them and find them a new home. And then Nick Fury starts drafting an initiative to find more heroes like her. And then we see her call sign on the side of a plane, like Rambo's was Photon, and her sign is Avenger. So he names it the Avengers Initiative. That's how they got the name. Okay, right. Sure. Because we really needed to know that. We really fucking needed to know how the Avenger Initiative got its name.
Right.
Almost as much as we needed to know why Han Solo's last name was Solo. You know?
You're right, yeah.
There's so many Star Wars references in this review. Dear God. And so then we get a mid-credit scene with, in the present day, right after Thanos has snapped the old fingeroonies. And we've got Captain America, Black Widow, Bruce Banner, and War Machine looking at the list of people missing. By missing, we mean dead. And the number's just going up and up and up. And Steve Rogers is just like, this is a nightmare. And they're monitoring the pager thing that apparently was found near Nick Fury. I don't know how they know it was his. But it's just lost battery. Oh, God, no. What does that mean? Can we re-jump it? No, it doesn't seem to be working at all. They turn around. And Captain Marvel is there, just like, where's Nick Fury? What's going on here? It's like, great intro. Like, she just turns around like she did the full Batman. Do you know what would be cool? Do you know what would be fucking cool?
Yeah.
If she crashed through the fucking roof, powers ablaze, just like, what's going on here?
That would have been better. I would have liked that.
Yeah.
Instead, she did a Batman.
She is literally, she flies around with fucking laser blasts on, like, cosmic fire. This is not a person who is known for her subtlety. And then
she is not subtle. No, definitely not.
And then we get a post-credit scene in 1995 again, where Goose climbs onto Nick Fury's desk and coughs up the Tesseract on it. Like, okay, cool. Oh, and it turns out, I forgot to mention, do you want to know how Nick Fury lost his eye? Because in the movie, he's got both eyes. And then later on near the end of the movie, Goose scratches his eye, and he's like, oh, my eye, but don't worry, it'll be fine. And the Skrulls are like, no, it won't. And that's how he lost his eye. And okay, right. So I was expecting him to lose his eye in a really bloody and brutal way, like maybe at the hands of the Kree or something, or the Skrulls or whatever. No, he loses it from a cat. And it's like, okay, you subverted my expectations for the first fucking time of this movie. And that's, well, the second fucking time, including the scroll switch up. And that's cool. But at the same time, that's how Nick Fury lost his eye?
Yeah. I
That,
think they were trying to like play it for like some sort of like where like in like the other movies, like it's like, oh, Nick Fury is so badass and it's like the legends of I, and instead it was just like something stupid like him getting scratched by an alien cat.
I mean, I'm not going to say it doesn't work, but I'm just going to say letdown. Little bit of a letdown. And
Yeah, a little bit.
that's the movie, and we're basically I mean, and now we're basically back to square one with Infinity War. It's basically just like we took a pause in between like Far From Home and Endgame, just so we could do this origin story. And now we have to ask the question that I'm fucking dreading. We shouldn't have to ask this question. We really shouldn't, but we kind of do. Was it better than Wonder Woman?
Uh that's that's hard to say.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's better than Wonder Woman.
Do you know what?
I think
I'm
it's hard.
I'm just gonna say it. It wasn't as good as Wonder Woman. I'm sorry! Oh, I feel so dirty saying that, but it's true. I enjoy. Here's the
I
thing.
know.
Okay, actually, well, I mean, okay, I will say I definitely enjoyed Wonder Woman more. I think Wonder Woman was more streamlined. I think there was less stupid stuff going on in Wonder Woman. I'm not saying it was devoid of stupid stuff. I thought the interactions with the characters were good, and the ones that were good were taken full advantage of. Wonder Woman just like felt more of a complete movie. And I do hate making this comparison because we shouldn't make this comparison. It's like comparing a Thor movie to an Ant-Man movie. Like, why would you compare them? Because they're both men? Well, like, okay, beyond that, what's the difference between them? None! And it's the same here. But because there are so few female-led superhero movies, we kind of have to make the comparison. And I hope that one day we get to the point where female-led superhero movies are so prolific that making that comparison would be as stupid as comparing Thor to Ant-Man. But we kind of have to do that now. And in fairness, they are two very different movies, but there's a few similarities. Like, they're both origin stories, and they deal with topics of sexism and feminism, and because I mean, both of those topics deserve to be addressed in both of those movies, because that one was taking place in World War One, very sexist time. This one's taking place, well, it's still a sexist time, let's be perfectly honest. But this one was taking place, like, we're talking about a woman in the military. Of course, there's going to be sexism, and if you ignore that, it would just be a disservice to anyone who's gone through that. And coming from a military family, I'm an Air Force family in particular, that's had female members in the Air Force and friends who have been female in the Air Force. I can say I'm so glad they kept that in. And I'm so glad they showed the injustices and the stupidity and the double standards that come with that scenario. So that's good. But
that's good. Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know, I just enjoyed Wonder Woman more. And it is annoying because, as we said, it's a good movie. It's a fucking good movie.
No, it's a good movie.
But at the same time, I think possibly more than Wonder Woman, I don't know, the odds have been kind of stacked against them. We've been talking about, like, so the critical score right now, at time of recording, is 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. But the audience score, I'm just getting up now, the audience score, 55%. So, and obviously there are other sites out there, you know, other than Rotten Tomatoes, where you could get this thing. And this is just like this is not going to be like a complete analysis of everyone who saw Captain Marvel and everyone who liked it. But at the same time, like, it should be more than that. Both the Rotten Tomato meter and the audience score. And yet, apparently, there have been trolls who have been purposely giving it a low score.
Yeah.
Which is fucking bullshit.
It is fucking bullshit.
It's annoying because it's similar, and again, I hate fucking making this comparison to the Ghostbuster reboot that had so many people. That was, I think, to a much greater degree, but had so many people either trolling or simply refusing to go see the movie, rampant sexism,
Right.
and as we said at the beginning of the review, movies deserve to be judged on their own merits. And if you don't like the movie, fine. I can understand why some people would go see this movie and not like it, because there's some people who went to see Avengers or Infinity War or Spider-Man Far From Homecoming and said that they didn't like it. I don't think these particularly people are right, but you're entitled to your opinion. But when you start purposefully trying to drive down online reviews or purposely giving negative reviews or online harassment or whatever, purely because there's a woman as a superhero, you're not only a fucking arsehole, you're a fucking moron. I don't care how funny you think it is, it's fucking stupid.
Especially before the movie came out.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't see the movie, so how are you even gonna know what the movie was? Like, that was really irritating.
It was not irritating, it was kind of hilariously stupid, just like all these people saying, oh, the movie's awful, when it hadn't even been released. It was like, you're not going to fool anyone. At the same time, though, it kind of maybe would, because once you get the idea in their head that some people somewhere, someone thought the movie was bad, you maybe go see the movie thinking that it's going to be bad, and it might color your perception. It's the mind games aspect of it. There's so many mind games nowadays, this sort of thing. It's very much like politics nowadays. It's the perception of something negatively impacts something in such a stupid way, and it really shouldn't.
No, I agree. That's why when like a movie that I want to, don't read the reviews until like well after I've seen the movie and can form my own opinion on it. But a lot of people want to just know if it's worth it to go see it, so they check out reviews beforehand.
Yeah, because going to the movies nowadays is expensive for a lot of people, and so they don't want to waste. Sorry?
I said it is expensive to go see the movies.
Yeah, and so they don't want to waste their money on a movie that they think they're not going to like. So that's why we still have critics. That's why we have people online talking about the movie. That's why people listen to these things. And I'm like you, I don't listen to reviews.
Right.
I just go see the movie and I judge it on its own merits. And that's what you should do. But at the same time, you don't want to waste your time. And I do get that. But then we need...
Right.
God, and these are people... And the problem is, you can't say, hey, you can't say that, because these are people just sharing their opinions. Their opinions are wrong, but they're allowed to share them. And it's so frustrating. And I think the only response that you can have to this sort of thing is to make more female-led superhero movies.
Yeah,
just
I agree.
Find all the characters you can and just make up some if you have to. And just put them out there, because there are stories out there that need to be told, both from a female perspective, yes, but also that are just people that just happen to be superheroes who are women. That's it. Because not every superhero female movie has to have a feminist message necessarily. Now, I'm a feminist. I love it when movies have feminist messages and stuff like that. I really enjoy that. But that doesn't always have to be the case. You don't always have to push that message. You can just have a movie with a character who just happens to be female.
No, I agree. I definitely agree with that. It's just the more that they're made, the less that you're going to need that feminist message, because it's going to become normal.
Exactly, because that will be the feminist message, having all these opportunities for these great female actors playing these great female characters who one day, if they become more prolific, we will just refer to as characters. Murr!
Yes, that's the dream.
Yeah. and and that's just, I mean, because here's the thing, I maybe I'm biased because we're a superhero related pop culture podcast, and we tend to related to a superhero pop culture website, so we're going to view a lot of society's problems through the lens of superhero media. But you can view the superhero female film protagonist sort of thing as a microcosm for a lot of female and women's struggles in society at large. We constantly refer to people as like female politicians or female soldiers or female athletes or whatever, when we really shouldn't. They're just athletes. And it's only because
Athletes or politicians.
or politicians or whatever. And really, and I understand why, because for so long women were prevented or barred or denied being in these roles. They're not permitted to succeed, and now they find they are, and they're working and struggling, and there's still so much to do. But we need to start moving forward to a society where we're all just people. We're all just people, and that's not to say you can't be proud that you're a woman or whatever, any marginalized member of any marginalized community. By all means, be proud. But
Right.
but we need we need, and I'm so showing my male privilege here, dear God. And like, there's so many people listening, like, yeah, no fucking shit. But at the same time, this is something we do need to do as a society, and just not differentiate anymore. And and this which is not to take anything away from the fact that this is a triumph for a female cast or a female crew or whatever. That is absolutely 100%. Own that by all means. But this is the first step. This is the first. Well, actually, you might argue that Wonder Woman was the first step, but this is the second step. But there needs to be a third step, and a fourth, and a fifth, and a sixth, and we need to keep going. Keep going, because there's so many great characters out there. When are we fucking gonna get a She-Hulk movie or a She-Hulk TV series? When are we gonna?
I know.
Because that's a great thing all of itself. Because you know what you could do with a She-Hulk movie? You could just have her being a lawyer and being a superhero, but also, you wouldn't need to push the feminist message necessarily, because it's the idea of a female superhero character, or not just that, a female character who is buff as hell, who is really physically strong and has muscles. Because there's a lot of female bodybuilders out there who are people who are really like fucking ripped, and they deserve to be portrayed on screen and show that that is something that can be cool and interesting, and not in the guise of like, see, look, she's really, really ripped. Isn't that sexy? Because like, that's not the point. Just like, show her being awesome, and that's the message.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to rant about this, but it really annoys me because there are movies out there that do try and push a feminist message, and they completely and utterly fail spectacularly. And they think that just by putting in the feminist message, that somehow makes the movie good. And sadly, I wish that were the case, but it doesn't. Emoji Movie. Yeah, I see you, Emoji Movie. You didn't get it, because a feminist message does not make a movie good. It just makes a good movie even better. And I think it did make this.
I agree.
And it made Wonder Woman better. It made this movie better. It make other movies better. But it's not a crutch necessarily that you should always rely on, because there are. It goes back to this thing that I've said for a while now, which is like, when are we going to get like a rom-com that features a gay couple that's not exclusively about them being gay? It's about them being in a relationship, yes, but it's not about them being gay, you know?
Right.
Do you get the difference? Am I explaining it well enough?
Yeah, no, you're explaining it. I get it. I get it. I think like we need definitely more like female movies. We need more inclusivity with all sorts of things. I think that as like it also has to do with like who is like writing and directing and everything. I think that also has to do with it. So as more women and more people of color and people of the LGBTQ community, as they start, getting into different fields, I think we'll get more like and books and shows and stuff that are inclusive.
Absolutely, and yeah, so it's, as I say, it's not just in front of the camera; it's behind the camera as well. There are so many great directors that aren't given the opportunities they deserve because, oh, you're not experienced enough, which is code for you're a woman. They let people who've directed like half a music video, men who've directed half a music video, direct big blockbuster, big budget action movies, but they won't give the same opportunity to women, and it's stupid. It's but anyway, let's move on from the rant now, and let's talk about the characters themselves just briefly and the actors playing them. So Brie Larson as Veers / Carol Danvers / Captain Marvel. Brie Larson was fucking excellent in this movie right up until the scene with the black box, and then she became boring.
Yeah, no, I liked her. I I liked her. There was just a. I mean, I kind of agreed. Like after the black box, where it's like suddenly she gets all of her memories back. There should have been like maybe like still like blots in her memory, because like the weird place. So I agree with that. But I liked her generally as a whole. I think she did a good job as Captain Marvel.
I agree too, and I'm looking forward to seeing her in other Captain Marvel movies. This is the problem we see of MCU. Captain Marvel because the name's Marvel. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see in other movies, and I'm interested to see where they go with this. And I want to talk about before we talk about the other characters. I want to talk about how maybe I think the problem with this movie, maybe this is just a guess on my part, in terms of like the disparate elements and the stuff that doesn't really work and this sort of lack of steam towards the end, could be attributed to the fact that like six or yeah like one, two, three, four, five people worked on the story for this movie, with three of them working on the screenplay.
That might have been something to do with it, definitely, because people have different ways of thinking. They should have just had one screenwriter, and maybe that's why it was so broken up in like in pieces.
Well, I mean, because when you look at the Wonder Woman, I mean that was two screenwriters, one screenwriter, and one director. This has got two directors. It's got Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. And okay,
Right, and they were both indie directors.
they're what? Sorry.
They were like indie directors. Like this was their first big budget movie.
Which has been done before in Marvel, which is fine. Like Ryan
Right.
Coogler, hadn't done any big stuff before Black Panther, hadn't he?
So
So it can work, but it
yeah, I don't.
and they both worked on the story. So I mean, so I would have been fine with, and we've had two directors before with the Russo brothers and stuff. But at the same time, like I think this is a case of too many cooks spoil the broth. Maybe it seems like there's a lot of, as you say, different elements that could be attributed to the fact that there's lots of different people working in the movie with very different visions, and you've got to streamline them and work on a singular vision. Otherwise, you've
Right.
got a lot of people when you really need. I don't know. And this is just a guess on my part, but I mean, I mean, who knows? But you can't fault Lawson. Sorry, Larson. Dear God, fucking hell! There's so many different names. But I can't fault Larson for doing what she did. She did work very well. She trained very hard. She met with active duty service people, Air Force people,
Yeah.
lot of female pilots and a lot of male pilots, and lots of people. One of whom I believe the movie is dedicated to, who sadly lost their life.
Yeah.
So it was really touching that they did that for them. That was really good. Samuel L.
Yeah.
Jackson as Nick Fury.
Of course, he's great.
Of course, because he's great in everything. Because he's Sam motherfucking L. Jackson.
Exactly.
He's great, and we sort of say, what I like about it is it's not Sam Jackson as we know him. He's a little bit lighter, a little bit less rough around the edges. He's still pretty much of a hard case,
Right.
but
Exactly.
it's a younger him. He's just stopped being like a desk jockey. He's seen active service, but and so you can
Right.
tell like this is his first steps to becoming the harder, much more serious, much more world-weary, much more spy master-esque Nick Fury. So we see elements
Right.
of that, but we also get to see him being a bit lighter. It's like when he sees the cat for
Right.
the first time, Captain Marvel works on in front of him, and he's like, "Oh, he's a cute little kitty. You're a cute little kitty. Yes, you are. Yes, you are." I'm just thinking, like, I am seeing fucking Jules from Pulp Fiction play around with a cat. This is my dream.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, that was great. I liked how they did Nick Fury in this movie. I was glad that he was in it so much.
Yeah, it's really great to see him so much and did age so well. And then we got Ben Mendelsohn as Talos slash Keller. And so I mentioned before they're playing so many different villains. So recently with like a Ready Player One and Rogue One and some stuff like that. And I'll be honest, in the stuff I've seen him in, I have not liked him at all. I thought he was pretty shitty, to be honest. I didn't like him at all. I loved him in this movie. I loved him when I thought he was a villain. I
No,
loved
he
him
did.
when he was a good guy. So yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
And
No, it was great.
he worked really well with the makeup and the scroll stuff. And actually, the scroll stuff looked pretty cool. Most of the scrolls were done with practical effects. It looked like so.
Right.
That looked really, really cool. He was great in that, and he actually had a great back and forth between himself and Danvers and Nick Fury and the other characters. So he was actually really good. I was impressed. I'm looking forward to seeing him in other stuff now because I think they talked about how like, oh, he's got such a great range. He's such a good actor, and like I have not seen that in any of his previous work. I saw it in this movie. Dear God.
Yeah.
And then we got Maria Rambeau, played by Lashana Lynch. I'm not familiar with her work.
Right.
She was completely and utterly fine.
It was fine.
She was fine. There was nothing spectacular about her performance. There was nothing bad about her performance. She came, she did her lines, she said them with conviction and maybe believe everything she was saying, and then she left, and that was she was fine. She's utterly fine.
Yeah.
Left no impact. I don't even remember her face, but she didn't like break my immersion, so I'll give her that. Then we got Annette Bening. Is that how you say her name? I never know how you say her name. Beaning? I don't know. And as Marvel slash Lawson slash the Supreme Intelligence, she was in it. She was there. She wasn't in enough to make a great impact, and she's a good actor. She's really good at what she does, and it's so cool to see her in this role. But
I wish she was more.
Sorry?
I wish she was in it more.
Yeah.
I think it would have been better. Yeah.
It was really fucking annoying, and it seems like just a bit of a wasted opportunity. She feels really wasted in this movie. Let's talk about some of the Kree people. Another actor that was completely wasted in this movie, Jimon Honsu, making his return as Korath from Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's clearly the same character. He's playing as like this humorous sort of thing, but I'm sorry, Jimon Honsu is too good of an actor to be in this bit part in this movie. I'm not saying he's like God's gift to the craft, but I've seen him other stuff, and he's good, and he always makes an impact, and he's just in the movie.
He had like 2 lines, I think, like not even. He was barely in it, probably like maybe not even 3 minutes.
And I thought at the very least we get like an indication of how he got like that cybernetic thing he had in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Like maybe he got injured by Captain Marvel. No, not at all. He was just like he was there.
Oh.
They fought, and that was about it.
There. I feel like that's what they did with most of the Kree. They were just there.
Yeah, Lee Pace as Ronan the Accuser. He was pretty much there. They didn't really do anything interesting from him other than the fact that it was Ronan the Accuser. Actually, no, I take that back. One Kree they did do something with, and who was actually kind of cool, was Gemma Chan as Minerva.
Yeah, no, she was only not in it a lot either.
She wasn't in a lot, but when she was there, she was just like so cool and so confident and at such odds with Captain Marvel. And there's like a really cool scene where they're fighting. It's just like, so like I knew you betrayed or something to that effect. And Captain Marvel's like, is this why we never hung out? She's like, no, I just didn't like you. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like. Okay.
And she's a sniper. She's got a cool look, and she's got a cool fighting style. And it would have been nice to see more of her. Like, honestly, she's such a cool character. She's played by such a good actress. Gemma Chan is a very good actor. She could have been the main antagonist.
That would have been really cool if she was the main antagonist. That would be interesting.
Yeah, but no, as you say. And then we get Clark Gregg as Phil Coulson. Yay, yay, yay! I don't care if I don't watch Agents of Shield anymore. Yay!
You know, he's great as Coulson. I like him so much.
And what I like about him is like Coulson is the rookie in this. It's literally like his first outing with Shield, and
right, he's the rookie.
And it's so cool. He calls Nick Fury boss, but he's got that stern look with a faint wry smile on him that he has in later movies. And it's just like, oh, it's Coulson. Oh, it's little baby Coulson. I love him. I love little baby Coulson.
Yeah, I'm glad Coulson was in it.
Yeah, it's Clark Gregg. It's all Clark Gregg. No one else could play this character like Clark Gregg. He's just got this weird passive charisma to him. Like, he doesn't need to do anything. He can just stand in the room and look adorable and badass at the same time.
At the same time, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's cool. And then we've got Jude Law as Yon Rogg. Possibly the biggest missed opportunity in this whole fucking movie in terms of the relationship with Carol Danvers.
They got Jude Law. They got Jude Law, and he was barely in it too.
Barely in it. The stuff that is in it is good, but it doesn't touch on as much stuff as... And it's... it's annoying. It's annoying. He was fucking in Fantastic Beasts more as young Dumbledore.
Yeah.
And he did even less in that movie. So...
Yeah.
It's annoying. Although apparently, one thing that's actually cool, apparently Robert Downey Jr., his co-star from Sherlock Holmes, coached him on how to be part of a Marvel movie. So that's cool. We got two members of the Sherlock Holmes cast in the Marvel movies. That's cool. And what did you think about the little girl who played Monica Rambeau?
Oh, I liked her. No, I liked her. She was like energetic. She was like the best part of that whole thing. She was like so excited, and enthusiastic. And I'm really hoping that in Endgame or future movies we'll have her as Photon. That would be cool.
That would be really cool. I thought it so bizarre because I mean Photon was an Avenger, but as Avengers go, she was always kind of a C-lister. She wasn't that prolific. I mean, the biggest thing she contributed to the MCU, as far as I'm aware, was that she was in Secret Wars, going back to the Secret crossover thing again. Because she got teleported to the planet by the Beyonder, and that's just because she was part of the Avengers at the time. So she's not that well known, but I'm glad they put her in there because again, it's expanding this world, and it's pretty cool that she and her mum were in it. So, who else was in the movie?
I like her.
Robert Kaczynski was the biker guy. Remember Robert Kaczynski? Remember him? Because I'm the only one who does.
Yeah.
Oh, you do remember him? Oh, good.
Okay.
Like, he was just in it. That's it.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it. And, that's about it. Stanley was in it, as we say, and, Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, Mark Ruffalo, Don Cheadle were in the end of it. And that's basically all the characters. And which is cool, because I'm glad they did. They could have had way more characters, but they chose to keep it like a bit more contained than that. Just a few extra scrolls and a few extra Kree. And that's about it. And yeah. And apparently we mentioned earlier that Air Force pilots were in the movie. Real life Air Force pilots that they talked to, Matthew Kimmel and Stephen Del Bagno appeared as themselves in the movie, and it was Del Bagno that died a few months prior to the film's release, so he's the one that the movie is dedicated to, so it's really good that. Also, apparently, Kelly Sue DeConnick, who's a Captain Marvel comic book writer, had a cameo with the movie. I don't know what she looks like, so I didn't recognize her. Sorry, Kelly, but...
Oh, yeah! I didn't she looked like, but I knew she was in it, and and so that was good. Yeah, she like wrote I think like one of the best Captain Marvel storylines in recent memory.
Apparently, let's see. I haven't read that many Captain Marvel things. I think I started reading like a few issues of the comic where she like gets teleported to like I don't know World War II or something. I don't know, but I didn't read that much into it beyond that. It didn't really hold my interest. Sadly, I was much more into Miss Marvel and that whole thing.
I love this. Uh, there's rumors that the second Captain Marvel movie might introduce Kamala, so I'm hoping that we'll get a movie eventually for her.
Yee, I hope so. She's so cool, but. But beyond that, there's not really much characters we could talk about, and yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything. There's lots of 90s music in the movie that either works well or doesn't, as we said.
Doesn't.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's doing pretty well at the box office, as we say. But I mean, right now, it's got an approval rating of, as we said, 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I'm just wondering, does that make it the lowest rated or one of the lower rated Marvel films so far? I'm just wondering. I'm gonna look that up right now. I'm looking that up. I'm looking it up. No, can't find out. Damn it, where are they? I swear I've seen like a table somewhere online of all the Marvel. Hang on.
Well, if it's got a score lower than Thor: The Dark World, I think we got a problem.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh god, no. Here we go. Right, I'm on it. Right, so right, okay. So it's got 79% currently on Rotten Tomatoes. The Incredible Hulk had 67% already. Yeah, so the lowest rating for any Marvel movie is 67%. That's The Incredible Hulk and Thor: The Dark World. So currently, Captain Marvel is doing better than the first Thor movie, Avengers: Age of Ultron, Iron Man 2, Thor: The Dark World, and Incredible Hulk. Which is fine. It's 1% less than Captain America: The First Avenger. And that's on Rotten Tomatoes. On Metacritic, it's doing better than Ant-Man, Iron Man 3, Hulk, Thor, Iron Man 2, and Thor: The Dark World. So it's by no means the worst Marvel movie to date. However, I am going to go record on saying that for me personally, it is the most disappointing Marvel movie to date.
Yeah, from what we got from the MCU, I think that they had a lot of good elements, but they just didn't click together in that way that really like made a Marvel movie good.
When you have this good of a cast and clearly this much talent behind the screens, clearly when you've got 5 fucking people writing the script, I mean the worst thing you can be is disappointing, because it's like, okay, so it's good, but it's not what we expect. It's Avengers: Age of Ultron all over again, but
could have been better.
But even Avengers: Age of Ultron had lots of really cool moments. Ultimately, I think worked well as a film. It just wasn't as good as it could have been. This does work well as a film, but only in places. It's a patchwork movie, and some of the patches are good, and some of the patches aren't so good, and it's just a little bit annoying. But you know, if that's really the worst we can say about it, it's still a good movie. Let's be honest.
You know, it was still enjoyable to watch.
Absolutely, and it had good acting in it, great effects, decent plot for the most part, and there's still plenty more that you can do with this character that would work really well, and I'm looking forward to it. And so, I mean, this is the problem. There's so many Marvel movies, there are going to be some that are disappointing, and we have to prepare for that. But as long as they're still good and still maintain the same quality to a reasonable degree, I'm happy with that. Like, I'm not so presumptive and so arrogant and so entitled as to think that every single one of them have to be smash hits.
Right. Exactly.
So, I think on that note, we're going to end it there, unless there's anything else, Dara, you'd like to talk about.
Um, no, I think I got everything. I did mention that I think the movie should have came out earlier,
Yeah.
but that's about it.
That's about it. So, it's worth your time, Capers, but don't go expecting fireworks, except for that scene where she lights up like a fucking firework. Because, baby, you're a firework! Anyway. And if you enjoy the show, Capers, please tell your friends. Shout it from the rooftops. And if you have... Actually, you know what? I'm going to start that again, because... Well, so thank you very much, Dara, for joining us today.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. And if you enjoyed the show, Capers, please tell your friends. Shout it from the rooftops! And if you haven't already, go back and listen to some of our other super episodes, like our Wonder Woman review that we both did way back when. You can listen to the show on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, Spotify, or at podcapers.com. We have a Patreon. Check out the rewards. Patreon.com/AV2HYC. If you want to get in touch with us, suggest show topics, or maybe come on the show yourself, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at AP2HYC, or email us at podcapers@AP2HYC.com. Thank you very much to Dan Harris for our logo, the lovely microphone, the red and blue 3D glasses, those are mine. And thank you for listening. This has been Podcapers, the official podcast for a place to hang your cape. Cue the music!